Welcome, everybody, to episode 90 of the DOD-Cast. Today, I have Wade Desir on with me. Wade, say hello.
What's up, everyone?
So I need you guys all to first like, subscribe, follow, share with some friends, or just continue watching. Whatever way you can support, I appreciate. So Wade, I reached out to Wade. When did I reach out to you? Like a week
It
ago?
was
2 weeks ago?
sometime late last week, I think.
Yeah, based on some things that you had posted, I was like, I just want to talk to Wade more about this stuff. And not that we talked at all in high school, really, but we did go to the same high school.
Yes, true.
So Medford native, which is awesome. Did you live anywhere else growing up, or all Medford?
Honestly, I mean, I was born back in Haiti, so like for
You
the
were born
first
in
10
Haiti.
years of my life,
Oh,
yeah,
dude, fucking
I was
please.
out of country.
We
Yeah,
got so much to talk about.
exactly.
I didn't even know that. Okay, so on top of that, yeah, I asked you to be on, but what else is it that you do if someone were to ask you like, what's been going on the past, like, I guess, couple of years in your life? What have you been up to?
Oof, yeah, that's a very wide-reaching question. So I've
Yeah.
been doing so many things, honestly. I was in the past couple of years. At some point, I was here at UML. I think.
You were.
I think we just talked about this earlier. I was here at UML for just one semester. I was exploring things. I guess you could say. I thought the college life was for me. Tried it out. Ended up not really clicking with it. So somewhere along the way, something happened as well, personal in my personal life, that kind of like threw me off, and then I took the situation to like, hey, let me take a different direction. Let me flip things off to see where we're gonna go. So decided to leave UMass Lowell at that point. Spent like a year, like I guess you could say, soul searching, doing some things.
Wow.
And then like after that, I did quite a few more things. So I worked for a bit, but then like I took part in this boot camp called Resilient Coders, which was for software engineering. And that's really what got me into my career and everything that I do today. Yeah, and there's been a lot of things going on here and there, but we can definitely go into more detail regarding what you're interested in.
Yeah. I would say it's interesting how, because I don't consider. Let me gather my thoughts before I speak, actually. I tend to not do that. I tend to just start talking and seeing if the words make sense. Gathering my thoughts, though. I consider, like, work and hobbies and some things like that. No, not hobbies. Work, school, things you're, like, required to do. I, like, almost don't consider that life. It's almost like it's a different aspect of your life. There's, like, the two is, like, my personal and then professional, I guess. It's funny just how much your personal life impacts your professional. Like, something happened, like, we don't have to talk about it, but whatever happens to you personally. Like, I've had things happen. Everyone has had, like, something arise at some point, some more dramatic than others, and that can wildly impact your professional life.
Exactly.
Like,
I think
you
this
ended
is what
up
happened with me.
finding, like, yourself, and then finding, like, something that you're like, oh, this is interesting. School might not have been the thing, but this thing I can do. And it has led to where you are today, which, if you are a man of faith, you probably are one of the people that are like, where I am today, there's nowhere I'd rather be than this place right here. So it's really incredible to see people be able to constantly, everywhere you look, people are turning things around for the better, which is really cool. But getting into that, though, I'm going to start with what you do for work. So you start as, you have software engineering?
Yep, software engineering.
And then you also, what was your trade in high school? What was that?
I did robotics and engineering.
Robotics engineering. So you just got the engineering mind.
Exactly. Yeah, I've always been, a tinkerer, I guess, with my hands, always fixing things. I love tech,
Where does that come from? Do you know?
Ooh, honestly, I think it's just like an innate thing in myself. I started off just like breaking things, and of course, my parents would get mad. Yo, you broke the computer again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I'll end up fixing it. Then I'm like, there's like the whole tech guy, I guess, to your friends and relatives that like, oh, this thing's broken. Let's set up a way to fix it. So
Yeah.
that's I guess how you could say I started, and then I got to high school, and thankfully there was that robotics and engineering shop available. That was super cool to be a part of.
Yeah. So that's a different experience than like your typical high school, like class going experience, and I think that definitely could have tailored some of the ways you look at school. And it also, because my dad always said that they didn't have trades when he was a kid, like at least not the way that they do at Medford High. Like you go to the Voc or do this. so he always said like he hated school. School wasn't for him. He didn't learn well, but he would have loved to work with his hands and like do some carpentry or engineering of some sort. And I think that's a very valuable path to have open to people, especially if you got that like tech thing going too, because it's just like everywhere. Like everything's a computer, everything is software. So the more people we can get to kind of understand that stuff, the more, but the better off the world's gonna be, because it's everything, you know. What is something that you've like built? Because engineering is all about like building something, fixing things. What's something that you've built, like fixed or whatever, that you really feel like that's like your piece? Like that's something that you take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, I guess towards the end of my high school career, I built this thing called a POV display. POV stands for persistence of vision. And just a quick explanation. So basically, persistent of vision is being able to like recognize a pattern or some sort of shape or image within something that is spinning at a specific rate, right? So it was this fan shaped thing. This is also on my portfolio, my website, if anyone wants
Okay.
to take a look at it. So it's a fan sitting on top of a motor. It's spinning around. It's got some LEDs sitting on it.
Okay.
And so with code, with programming, we are able to blink those LEDs in a specific at a specific rate based on how fast it's spinning to like display an image or
Wow.
text. And yeah, it's really cool.
Really?
Yeah,
So like if a fan, so it's like you tape the LEDs in the fan, it spins, then you can have it make like a square, for
exactly.
example. Or
Yeah.
I don't know why I did a diamond, but like a square, right?
Yeah.
That's really sick. So this is, I guess this is a fucking huge question I'm about to ask you. So take in layman's terms, like how do you do that? Like how do you go about doing that? Like,
Yeah. It's there's a lot of steps, I'd say. So for this specific project, I like went really deep into it. Like I had like machining, like literally like I took pieces of metal and shaped them to what I wanted it to be to build this thing. So there was a lot of steps, but first off, what you got to start off with is an idea, right? Figure out what you want to make.
right.
Either what problem does it solve or like how it will be entertaining or interesting or intriguing in some way.
Yeah.
So figure out what you want to build. Then you gotta line it up, figure out the steps. Hey, how am I gonna get there? By saying I need these tools, I need these objects, whatever it is, to put it all together. And from then on, is just a lot of experimenting. Like learn. I think it's a big learn as you go thing.
Mm,
I think as you start off with, it's not always going to be clear cut,
yeah.
but as you learn and as you practice these things, you'll get a lot better.
So it's like ideation, resourcing, researching, and experimenting. If
Yep,
you were to put it into
exactly.
4 words, those are the
Yeah.
4 words. Yeah, I don't know why when you were saying these things, it was translating to a word in my head, and I was like, that'd be a good 4 word way to describe that process. Because it's hard sometimes to even get an idea as to what you're gonna be engineering, you know. And I've had a couple engineers on here before, like biomedical. I've had what's like the base? It's like not general engineering. There's like this thing. This I don't know. It's like they'd be working on like a bridge. I guess like architectural. I don't know how the I don't know the terms, but it was like a
Yeah, not
broad.
entirely sure.
They said it was like a broad umbrella term for like a base, like so it just allows them to try different things engineering wise. But and now software engineering, and it encompasses a lot of like your hands on stuff too. Like just
Hmm.
because you're a software, like you're working on like the software to make these shapes, but then you also need to have the actual thing working to
Yeah.
then like apply these things. And unless you're working in a big company, which you probably won't start in, assuming like you started in high school, you're gonna have to do some of that shit yourself.
Hmm.
So did you have like a team with you, or were you doing that basically by yourself?
So most of it was by myself, but being part of the Vogue, there's a teacher
Yeah.
there to
Right.
help you. So we had a machining teacher. That was his specialty, was machining, and so he was able to like guide me through using this thing called a lathe, which was what you're able to cut these like metal pieces off with. You get a piece of metal, and it spins at a specific rate, right? It's connected to a motor, it spins super, super fast, and then you like basically cut into it with these shaping tools as it's spinning around to build these things. It's kind of be it like it can kind of be super scary because of just like the rate that it spins at, and it's like
Yeah.
this huge machine. So he helped me out with that, and there's like the more robotics oriented parts, the software stuff I had to get some help with from my other teacher. But overall, there's always like I think the biggest thing today is that people have access to the internet. So
Mm.
when it came down to the point where I can get help from either of them, hit Google, that's
Yeah.
where you get everything.
Have you been using Chat GPT?
I did take I did take like a few minutes to look at it. It's super interesting.
It
Like,
is, man.
yo,
It
it's
really
it's
is.
advanced, definitely.
Yeah, it's because it's just the ability to like make something learn is like that's the most fascinating thing in the world, and then also be able to interpret that learning and spit it back out as a learned subject. Like think about how intelligently you can speak about, let's just say robotics, for example, as opposed to like your average human. Like you know a lot more about this stuff because of all the years of learning, and then you've had to explain to people before. So the more you explain, the better you are at it. All that. It's like this AI. It's like you give it, and it already has the years of explanations and experience and all that shit just programmed in. So you can just teach it a little bit about basketball, and it will be able to explain everything about basketball. It's I've been messing around with it a lot. Really interesting, really interesting type of thing. It's kind of gotten me into this whole tech thing, and like I don't know. I don't have an engineering brain. I have a more like idea creation type of brain. I like to like think of things and stuff like that, and then I need engineers probably one day in my life to help me follow them through. But that's also a cool relationship too. Like the idea of like the engineer, like the person that actually is making it, and the people that come up with the ideas. I feel like it's typically a different people. What do you think?
Yeah, I think engineers most of the time are really good with the implementation side of things. And I'm not going to say that engineers don't come up with their own ideas. They definitely
Right.
do. They spend a lot of time thinking and figuring things out. But I think the other side is where you have maybe the better word would be an inventor, someone who can think about these ideas and figure out exactly what they want to achieve.
And like the needs that they're trying to appease. Like an engineer, a typical, you don't want to generalize anybody because, as you said, like and there's millions of engineers that have come up with their ideas as well, but as they're so focused on the process of creating it and on like experimenting, is like that all that focus for an inventor, for someone of that like an idea creator, that's all they're doing is just focusing on ideas, what the market needs, what people need, what they need, and how they can fix that. And that could be anything. It could be entertainment. It could be all types of stuff. So you also have designed like some websites as well. Is that what I was seeing on your website?
Yeah, yeah. So right now, the work that I do is web development. I'm a web developer for like my day-to-day life right now. I'm doing freelance, which is basically owning my own source, like sort of company. I find clients who need a website done, and I'll be like, hey, I'll get this done for you for this price, and I'll go ahead and create the website for them. So yeah, my website is sort of like my portfolio where I store my past projects. Like, hey, this is what I worked on before. This is why you should hire me. Here are some examples. So that's that's what I'm doing right now, and I really enjoy web development. It's super fun, and I'm also like sort of like going into the realm of app development as well. So I've started making some apps.
Ah.
At least spent a lot of time getting some experience doing that.
So what kind of apps?
Um, so to begin with, the first app that I like started off creating was some sort of marketplace app. It was just an example, something to build with. And then I was with this startup for a little bit as well. They were creating um, a chat, like a new social media app that was gonna have like a lot of basically AI features implemented in them to like sort of like target a new market, that's out
Interesting.
there, to have something different that others didn't. So I worked with them for a while. Didn't enjoy working at the company super like a lot, so I ended up taking a leave. But now I'm
Interesting.
focused more on my personal web development, and also I'm interviewing with a couple of companies right now to get a new job, like a more permanent position, so that like because as a freelancer, you don't know where your next gig is gonna come from.
Mm.
Like I have a couple people right now that I'm working with, but you don't always know if you're gonna find that next person who needs a website built. So
Right.
you don't have that solid source of income. It's
Mm.
it's just come as it goes basis.
So I was looking at some of the websites you designed. Really cool looking website, and also it's really interesting when you're a website designer because I had one website designer or web developer, I guess, was on the podcast before, and he made the website. I think it was for his company called it was Uber Jets. It's not Uber.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I don't think they're actually even related to Uber. I don't think that they're owned by Uber, but that's what they call themselves. And it's just private jet Uber. That's basically what it is. Like,
Wow,
yeah, it's like really rich people just like they need to get somewhere, so they
sounds like a
just
cool project. Yeah.
it was really cool to look at, like look at the results. But yeah, you had a website as well, and that's what you need. It's like your resume. It's like proof is in the pudding for you guys. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like you need to like your website looks good. It looks professional, and like I like the graphic. I like that it spells out your name, and I like the way that you show your catalog of work was pretty cool too. But that's your resume. It's like my own website, and then on top of that, this is the more professional stuff I do. This is my
Right.
creative touch. This is what my website would look like, and this is all the stuff I like to do professionally. And app development's cool too. I've never really. This is my issue. I love things. I love stuff, but I've never like made the stuff that I'm using all the time and that I
Mm-hmm.
give so much credit for. Like I really do think it's amazing, like what engineers do. More like mechanical, and then also like biomedical software, whatever you're. If people are making stuff, I fucking hands claps to you because it's so difficult to really get an understanding of it. It is because it's scary,
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of things to think through. Yeah.
do you remember your first time like being introduced to like I guess your first like engineering concepts and like what kind of happened with that? Like why did you pursue it? Like did you see early success or anything? Did it click?
I guess relating to like freshman year of high school where I first got introduced to the robotics shop, I I was super excited to like just be part of it. I think because I had always loved working on stuff like that before. So when it came down to it, I was like super interested. I think I was definitely I might have been like intimidated at some points just because it was new. Like we were using this thing called a breadboard to basically connect LEDs and these few things together to like make a microcontroller work in a certain way.
Cool.
Connect this like sort of system on like this board that's like right in front of you. Hey, how we're gonna make this LED blink this certain amount of times. So that was cool. That was like kind of like the introductory to the class. So I guess that was super cool to do, and I can't really think of a specific time that I've like ever been super scared of getting into engineering. I guess the best that I could say would be my internship that I had started off with. It had been some like pretty intense stuff that they like introduced me to and asked me to do. So it was sort of new to me, and so I had
Mm.
to like figure out like how to get things going. But the thing is with software engineering, if you have some sort of experience, right, with anything else, it'll just take you a certain amount of time to get comfortable with
Mm.
whatever it is. Because if you have that engineering mind, and it's a lot of like problem solving and puzzle work. So if you have that understanding from other things, it's always easy to just apply it to this current situation that you're in.
That's what. That's another thing that's really cool about engineers. It's like a whole herd of our population are just engineers. They just like to solve problems, and you guys just like to do things by like I guess like a format. Like you love like when stuff's like really like got like a not like a clear path to solving it, but like finding that clear path, like making the path
Yeah.
clearer is really it's very rewarding for like an engineer. And do you feel like you kind of said that you felt like it was very innate, but do you feel like you see the world through like an engineer's eyes? Like, does that kind of ever come to your mind, or do you just feel like you're just living normal and then you just do engineering?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've ever. I don't notice it if I do.
Mm.
I always. I guess the biggest thing that I have is like I've noticed that sometimes like other people don't have like an automatic. I guess like people don't automatically have this that I've noticed is that there's the intuition for me. Sometimes it's like sometimes I'll be experiencing this thing, or I'll be like introduced to this new tool, and a lot of times my friends or like people that are around me, sometimes they'll like be a little bit trying to like figure out, hey, how do you actually do this? How do you actually do this? But I'll look at it and like I'll just, it's like I know how people think, right? I know how people create things, and it's sort of like this. It's what UI developers and UX developers do, is that they create programs and software in a way that they can be easily understood by the users. So for me, when I come to something that's new that I'm not too entirely used to, I take guesses. Like they're basically educated guesses based on my previous experience, right? So I have like really good intuition when it comes to these new tech, like this new tech that I'm like introduced to, or these new
Yeah.
softwares. So I'm just like easily, I easily adapt.
That's a really cool way of putting like the generational difference too. Like
Hmm.
obviously with more advanced things, like you got people like me, like hands down your way, like more your way ahead just by looking at it, you can kind of assume what's going
Yeah.
on. Whereas me, it's a little bit harder with some things, but with a phone, like you give me like an iPhone or any
Hmm.
generation really, I can like I don't have the newest iPhone, it's a pretty new iPhone, but I don't have the newest one, but you give me the newest one, I can figure that out because I've been doing it my whole life. You gave me a random remote controller, I can probably tell you where the batteries are, you know. Whereas like some old timer,
Yeah.
they grew up changing the button on the TV, and maybe they grew up without a phone and they're still using a flip. They finally get that iPhone at 65 years old. They got no intuition
It's like, yeah,
as to
what's
where
going
these
on
things
here?
can be. They're
Yeah.
like, "Where's my settings app?" I'm like, "Oh, it's probably the gear
Yeah.
icon because that's what it
Hmm.
is on everything." They're like,
Exactly.
on everything. What do you mean everything? I don't have everything.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool way of putting it. I've never put that together. I think it's just something like in the back of your head, but
Hmm.
putting words to it is cool. Um, but do you feel like, I guess the remote controllers is the first thing I thought of, like an Xbox remote. I
Yeah.
hold it in my hands, and then I know on the back is like the battery cartridge, and I know what those paddles mean, like negative and positive.
Hmm.
But that's such a small example. You kind of have that on like a much wider scale. That's what it
Exactly.
seems like.
Yeah.
Like you could probably open the controller back
Hmm.
and change like the buttons if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
and I think that's just a skill that you build up, right? I'm not saying that like people just don't normally have it, right?
Right.
Because the thing is, when I do come to a situation like that, I might not even know, but over time, right, I've come to other similar situations, and oftentimes I've guessed my way to it. And so, as it's kind of like
It's
machine
really
learning,
cool. It's really cool.
as you're
Yeah.
like, as you're getting used to these things and you're trying them out, the next time you're introduced to something like to another problem you have to solve, you're like, oh, well, last time I did this in a specific way, I did that in a specific way. So let's, instead of like guessing like from without like, instead of guessing from the beginning, let me guess with this new knowledge that I've had from last time. And so it's a lot less that I have this special tool that everyone had, like the special eye that other people don't have, but it's more like I'm able to interact and act quickly because I've had so much more experience, right?
Yeah.
I
It's
think,
learned.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's kind of like I had someone explain engineering to me this way once. I'm gonna butcher it. I'm so gonna butcher it. Imagine it like a math equation, like a typical math equation.
Hmm.
100 plus something equals the right answer. So the right answer could be 101, but you need to try one in that spot. And it's kind of like you won't find out. You have to keep guessing
Hmm.
other things. It's not like an equation where you can be like 100 plus something equals 101, where you can like see, oh, if we just add a one. That's rarely how it works in engineering. It's rarely that straightforward. If it's a worthwhile problem, it's like we need to get this answer from this, and we're just gonna try everything we got until we hit this
Yeah,
like green light, basically.
exactly.
Um, it's just to me it sounds like hell, but to you it probably is really exciting. Like,
Yeah, it's
because when you hit what happens when you first got that fan
hmm
with the lights on to really make that shape for you. What's that feeling? Like what is that?
so I actually had like multiple phases of this. Like the first iteration that I had was like super simple. I think I had like I 3D printed a piece and put it like on top of the fan. So like initially, like when I first got it working, I was like, "Yo, this is awesome. I have something going on." Like I think the first time I had it spinning, it was a clock. that was displayed on it. So I was like,
Really?
yo,
The first thing you did was a clock?
yeah.
That's really cool.
It was great. I was like, yo, I finally got this done. But then, of course, as an engineer, I wanted more. I'm like, okay, not how good can I get it to be? So there's always that, like, okay, let's keep on going with it. And I think the reward for engineers as they like get things done is as they get closer. Like you'll start here, and the closer you get, the more exciting it gets, and the more that you get back from it.
It's like chasing the dragon type of thing. That's what they say with like drug addicts. They're like, oh, you're chasing it, I'm chasing it. But that's what it is. It's like you're chasing those chemical reactions in your brain to trigger. You're like, oh, I did it. I made it even better. I made it smaller. That's what these iPhones, we made it smaller. We made it smaller. We can bend our technology now. Is that a thing really? Like, like those bendable phones, like the ones with the screens. Like, is that really still a thing? I know people are trying.
It has to be. I know like Samsung was like experimenting with it at like one point. I'm not sure if it's like still a thing that's going on. So can't give you too much information on that.
Yeah. What do you feel like well, two things. One, what is like a current passion project you're working on? Something that maybe it is your website, maybe it's just something like for your personal portfolio, or something you find interesting, like a current passion project. And then if you don't have one, or after that you explain that one, I want to know like what like the goal, I want this thing to be, like the greatest possible engineering feat you want to attempt. Start with whatever you're doing right now. Do you have anything going on right now, like passion wise?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I think I can answer both of those questions. So currently, I want to create like a Christian social media app, because I feel like that's something that's like not really out there.
It's not. It's not like what, like Christian Mingle? That's like a dating app.
Yeah, it's like a dating app, but like
it's no fun.
The thing is, like, this every social media app is great, but then I think adding that like faith aspect will be intriguing and like attractive to like another set of group of people who do have that faith aspect being part of like their daily life, and you don't always have access to like other believers as easily in today's world. Totally. compared to like just being able to access like people through Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Which is
something we're totally gonna get into in about 10 minutes, by the way. Right after you answer this next question, we'll talk about that for sure, because that's now I'm interested.
Okay, so next, like I guess the highest goal.
What is like like I want to make clean water like for everybody type of goal. What is the best thing?
For the longest time, I've had this like itch. I'm like, yo, I want to create AI that is like truly, I guess you could say.
It's alright.
I guess you could say as like conscious as possible.
Okay.
Clearly, you can't ever make something, or at least I don't think it's actually possible to make something that's like truly alive. But just like ChatGPT, it's something that can speak to you like a human. I want something that can learn like a human and express itself like a human.
So when I said the whole thing of like, it's impossible to make something that can learn, or like when I said it's very difficult to make something that can learn, you must have just been like, oh, I'm gonna do that.
I mean, I agree though. I agree. It's like there's so much that has to be done for you to create like something that can truly learn like that. And so that's why like I kind of like, that was my initial idea, but like I sort of like, I was like, all right, let me bring it down a notch. I think that's
let me learn a little first.
Exactly.
Like, they always say, I think Einstein said it. He said, if I was given an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 59 minutes on the problem and then 1 minute on the solution.
Wow.
Like, you just need to know what exactly it is you're doing, what you're handling. And I think the biggest flaw with us learning how to create something that learns is we don't understand how we learn. We don't know much about our brains, really. Mm-hmm. We know some. We don't know how dreams work. We don't know how, because in me, we're dreaming a third of the time, like, or we're asleep a third of the time. We don't really understand what our brain's doing, but not like how valuable it is. We're not like what it's adding. We don't know how important it is to memory recollection. All these things. We don't know why we dream, what it's really doing. Are we storing? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, like, we don't even know what sleep is for. It's like, why do we sleep? Like, ideally our body gets restored, but like our brain doesn't need sleep.
Yeah, so
it's like,
why? You know? And so it's interesting. I feel like we're focusing too much on the solution
Mm-hmm.
because it's so intriguing and it's so interesting. Like, I want this thing to learn. I want this thing to learn. I want it to learn so that it can help us and it can learn with us. We learn with AI. We can become like this like fused species. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
probably is going towards. But I think we need to focus more on the brain. Figure out why this thing works, so then you can make it work
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Gotta look inside first, you know.
Look inside. Look on
Yeah.
the inside. Think inside the box.
Mm-hmm.
First time someone's ever said that, I bet. But yeah, okay. Back to that other app. So the other app would be to connect people with faith, like young people specifically, or you just feel like just people.
Almost anyone, I guess. Like it would probably be more attractive to young people.
Yeah.
To start, but I think I would make it open to everyone. And I've written down so many cool ideas for this. Like I
Spit a
had this
couple out.
like
Let me hear.
what's up?
Spit some out. I want to hear
Ooh,
some.
I
If you want to. I don't know. I don't want you to give away the keys to the castle.
Yeah, the thing is, I've like written so many things down, and like my memory though is like not the greatest, so like I can't bring it back up like right now.
Yeah,
But like I
yeah.
have like this, this notes app that I just like write things down, and so I'll be sitting there and like I'll be thinking about it, and like I'll get so many ideas just like coming in, and I'll make sure I write them down so I don't forget.
Right.
But as far as like remembering them in my mind, I guess that's why I write them down is because I'm not gonna hold them. Yeah,
You forget more than you remember, for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
I would say I want to ask a couple questions about you as a man of faith, right? So, where is the original influence? When do you and then what are moments that like have, I guess, increased that connection? You
Mhm.
know.
So growing up, I was always surrounded by family
Yeah.
that was into that faith. People that were going to church when they can, and stuff like that. Back in Haiti, I was not introduced to it that much, but when I moved over here to the U.S. to live with my parents, I like every Sunday was like, get ready for church. Let's go to church. Let's go to church.
Mm.
And so that was the initial influence. But as I got older, like I grew to the point where I didn't want it anymore. Like I was like, what? I'm not part of this religion thing. I'm going to church, but it's like it's not giving me anything. I'm just gonna stop. Like, and I ended up getting into like a lot of like personal family conflicts because of that part of me that like didn't want to be into it anymore. And honestly, like at some point, I ended up literally just like getting up and leaving my parents' house because
Really?
I didn't want to go to church. And my dad was like, "Yo, you're either going to church or you're not gonna be in this house." And I was like, "I'm gone." Like, I was
Oh
like,
my
"I'm out."
god.
That's like how
Wow.
bad it was at some point.
I
Yeah.
laugh, but I laugh because
No, you're good,
you know what I
bro.
mean.
Yeah, I
When
got
I
you.
laugh, hopefully, yeah.
Hmm.
But continue.
Yeah. So this faith
Wow.
has been a work in progress, you could say. So
Definitely.
yeah. So after that point, few months passed. Ended up, like, of course, getting back with my parents, like making sure that everything was good, repairing that relationship. But as far as the faith part goes, that part was a thing that I had to learn on my own. And I think that's the thing with faith as well. I don't think you can ever force someone to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
They have to want it. It has to start from the inside, right? Someone has to want it before you can force it on them, right? You can try to talk to them and like to coerce them, push them in the right direction, but they have to be part of that process because you can't just give it to them like that.
Mm.
So yeah, so initially this was like actually back when I started college. This There was this point in my life where I was feeling super lost, and I just had like this. I don't know if it's just me, but like there was this part of me that like could not live without understanding life and just the universe and just like everything as a whole. I was like, I need to know like what is life, what is doing, what's the meaning of this. I couldn't live without it. Like
Wow.
it was burning like into my life. Like I literally could not, like I was looking everywhere. I couldn't like go a day without like what is this? Like how do I learn more about this? So I guess maybe it was part of me growing up with that religion in my life to the
Mm-hmm.
point where like after leaving that empty spot needed to be filled. So maybe that's what it was, or maybe there's just it was like just a part of like
Existential
yeah,
crisis. What it
exactly that
sounds like. Yeah.
existential dread stuff going on. So I ended up like going back into like my personally I was like, what, let me take an actual look into this. Let me see if God's really there. Let's see what's going on. So I started like spending some time, like I would pray, I would read a little bit like the Bible or whatever. There was some other books as well I was looking into. trying to build my faith. And initially, of course, there's some you're gonna have to like put a little bit of it work into it, right? Like right now, like the Bible says, like you have to get close to God before He gets close to you.
Right.
Yeah, it has to like it's like a two person two person process. So it got to this point, and this thing's super cool. Like I'm excited to talk about this, but it got to this point, right? And I'm like I was just like sitting on my bed, in my college dorm room one day, and I'm just sitting there, and I don't know if I was thinking or I don't know if I was doing something specifically, but I remember it was like my eye was opened. Like it's the weirdest experience. Like the way that I can explain it is that there's a specific veil or this specific thing that this like divide, I guess, that's over your eyes and your heart that you can't see unless you like seek it, you know? So
Right.
like at that moment, literally like it just like something changed and like physically, like in my mind, like something physically changed, and all of a sudden I was like, yo, how did I not know this before? Like all of a sudden it was just fixed. Like my whole dread, like me worrying, all that.
Wow.
All of a sudden I just in that moment I just understood. It's like I saw something differently.
Just a random moment.
Like
You were just
literally,
sitting there.
it's just sitting there like, and all of a sudden I'm like, yo, how did I? Why was I so worried? Like, how did I not know this? It just like my eyes were open. I was like, bro, the Big Bang, this stuff. I know it's confusing. Why was I letting that um, bore into my mind like that? And like Big Bang is probably like definitely a thing, but I was looking for something deeper than that.
Yeah.
So I was like, why was I stopping there? You know, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it just, my eyes were open. It was weird.
Yeah. Not to
But
drag you back into that time in your life, but it is a very like life is absurd. You know,
mm-hmm.
it's so absurd. Like it's
Life is crazy.
like the answers that you're given. I don't know. What bugs me sometimes with people that shoot down religion in any sense. Yeah, everyone can believe whatever they want to believe or not, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
when people say like it's just so unbelievable or whatever, it's like how you believe. I'm like, yo, you're telling me that all the shit that we're taught is like a little is like more believable to you. Like not that I don't think it's true or like whatever. It's just like we're all just like a speck just flying around this infinite space. Which like if I talk about this too long, I'll freak the fuck out. Like you're telling me this is all easy to grasp and like, you can make sense of this and like it's something that isn't fucking out of this world crazy. Like that's crazy to me to say that is any more to say that and that is more like concrete than like there being a god or there being like a higher power or something. It's like I almost feel like that's more likely, especially as we just keep making these computers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what if one day we just make a world in there and program all this
Yeah.
stuff? Like, we're not that far away from it. Like, we are, but we're not. So, I don't know. I feel like, especially nowadays, I think we're going to start seeing an influx of people going into, like, their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Going into, like, finding, whatever God they follow, whatever scripture they follow. I could see people, because of how much we seem like we're puppet masters sometimes, seeing like, oh dude, if we like somehow did develop another 4,000 years without extinction or killing ourselves, um who's to say we couldn't do the same thing? And that's only 4,000 years,
Yeah.
in the terms of like billions of light years. Like that's not even a blink. So that's really fascinating, and I love the idea of you kind of got lucky, like a eureka moment almost hit you,
Mm-hmm.
and it took work. But some people don't ever have that shining moment to
Yeah.
like bring them in. But maybe do you feel like that's all because like maybe they don't really want it? Like, do you think that it in their heart of hearts that it's something that they don't want, or do you think it's just like it happens for some people and not for others?
I think I feel like it definitely would happen for everyone. And the thing about it is that it takes two things, right? It takes actively seeking for it. And then when you get that answer, when you get something back that seems to push you in the right direction, it takes belief, right?
Mm,
It takes a leap of faith, literally, to get to a
right.
point where, yeah, exactly. Like it literally takes a leap of faith to get to a point where you're a bit more comfortable with the knowledge that you've received. You have to like literally sit there and say, I choose to believe in this thing You know, maybe you have to like say, there's something more than me out there. I don't understand everything. It doesn't seem like to fit like how it needs to fit. But the thing is, it's not like, you know, God, higher power. It's not like they don't want you to know these things. They understand what you're going through, all the questions that you may have. But ask those questions, you know? Like, I understand, like, it might be weird or some things might be, like, kind of off, but ask about it, you know, inquire.
Right.
That's the
Right.
biggest thing.
A true someone that's truly of their faith, I notice are a lot happier than people that aren't following a religion or belief of some sort. Would you say that you feel like happier, or is that like just a dramatization of what being faithful means? You know.
No, I think it definitely fills a hole. Like, literally, like, it fills a hole in your heart. Like, at some points before in the past, like, I've had this sort of like lost feeling, I guess you could say sometimes. Like I'd just be sitting there and all of a sudden I'm like, I just feel it in my heart like this feeling that's like where I'm lost or just this negative feeling that I couldn't seem to get rid of, you know?
It's relatable. I
Um,
get it.
yeah, so it's like, and the thing is, since I've gone into my faith and stuck with it, I've not had that feeling anymore. It's like I'm
Really.
comfortable where I am, constantly growing. I have someone or something that I can put my faith in and understand that they've got, even if I don't have it figured out, they've got it figured out, you know?
Your parents must have been elated when they got that phone call, huh?
Yeah, they were definitely happy that I was, you know, back into it. And
Did they relate to that moment,
um,
or do you think they were truly brought up on it, and like that's just life for them? Like that's just it was they were born with it
I
almost.
think that's more on the point of them, like, of it just being life for them. Like, because back in Haiti, like, faith is a big thing. Like, everyone, like, almost, you know, Haitians are, like, super religious
I didn't know that actually.
as a race. Yeah, I think so. Or as a nationality. So they're all, like, really into their, like, religion thing, you know? And I think growing up in Haiti, it's just, like, it's automatically just given to you. It's part of your life as you're growing up.
Would you say do you go to church every week?
I do. Yeah,
Did you go yesterday?
I did.
Wow. What was so what do you feel you get from church?
So, church is I like to say that church is gym for your soul.
Oh shit, that's pretty good.
That's yeah,
That makes
that's it
sense. That instantly made it all make sense to me. I've never
exactly.
understood why people would go to church. That makes
Literally.
complete sense to me.
Yeah. So if to actively stay stable in your faith and to grow, to learn, you need other believers. You know, you need other people that are um going through the same things as you are. And you learn a lot. Like God will speak to you through sermons and through learning these things. Like I've had so many experiences where I've prayed about something, and then like next Sunday I'm sitting there, and like all of a sudden they're talking about like the subject that I've asked about. Like it's like,
Yeah.
yo, how is? And the thing is, a lot of the times I'm like, kind of like I'm like, yo, how is this geared towards me specifically? Sometimes because like sometimes it's like some really specific subject, and I'm like, there's no way like out of random like this dude's just talking
Yeah.
about this
They're
like.
like, oh Wade, actually. Like they say
Like
your
it's
name.
that's
You're
how it
like,
feels
God
like
damn,
literally. It's
so
like, bro,
personal.
really? Like
It's so personal, right?
exactly. So it's like, bro, so like that's kind of like how you learn, you know, how God works is like through these
Right.
experiences where he, I guess you could say he winks at you throughout life,
That's a common
to show
saying.
you.
God
Yeah.
winks at you. I don't know
Hmm.
where I've heard that before. That's a thing, right? That's like a
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, I've heard that before. What's another thing? I had another really good question. Now I've lost it. Oh, I need God to guide me to my question. I've lost it. But anyway, I was thinking something else. So my experience with religion. Not that it matters as much. This is your episode. It's all about you, by the way.
Awesome.
Um, but yeah, I feel like with me, I've noticed like I had a very dejected sense towards religion for a long time, and I think I hit a similar moment to you because not everyone's gonna be religious. You know,
Hmm.
not everyone's gonna be. Well, what type of Christian are you?
I am non-denominational, so I don't relate to a specific denomination.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No, that's actually that makes a lot of
I
sense.
think that's really how you want to be. Like, there's really no going to specific. Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm that. I'm picking
Yeah,
sides. like the Bible like goes into that. It's like you shouldn't be saying I'm of this person or I'm of that person. Just literally you're following Jesus. That's the end of it.
Yeah,
You know.
that makes a lot of sense to me. So I like, yeah, if I were to be religious, that would be what I'd be doing. But I think I hit a similar, not an epiphany really, but I don't know, maybe it's just me maturing more than anything. But like I used to not like rag on it, but I'd just be like, like I remember I had to go to CCD and like I go to like church sometimes, not much. My parents didn't go to church much, but we go and I'll be like, I don't really want to be here. Like I don't really believe this, and then I know somewhere towards when I started in maybe middle school, tech and iPhones got too good for them to say like to pass off the Bible as like true. This is all 100% certain. I feel like my instructors were starting to say like use these as like analogs. You know, their story. Some are stories to like send you in the right direction, and they're like not embellishments, but like I'm trying to think of the right word that they were using, but they were trying to pass it off as like science and religion work together to build the story of our life. And I felt like I don't know, it was just turning me off. I was like I didn't like the way that they were trying to like mesh them so much, because that's not, I don't want science from going to religion. Maybe that's what it was as me as a kid. I was like, I don't want to be in science class. I'm not trying to learn about like evolution right now. Like that's not what the story is. And at least not from what my understanding was as a kid. I think it's just because it switched that bugged me. And then as I got older, I started realizing just how impactful faith can be for people. And I've seen people like come from awful situations and rise because of like faith. When people have nothing else, that's typically the only thing you do have. And how can you not love that? Like, how can you not have so much? I have so much respect for it. I love it. I'm interested in it. But me personally, like, it's just not like something that I do. It's not something that I practice. I don't pray. I just do kind of what I need to do. It's a very self-centric life, but it's what I do. I'm not gonna sink nobody's ship, but I don't know if I'm gonna be on part of the water anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like I've noticed people more towards my side at this point, where everyone's really starting to put a lot of respect towards religion, and I'm wondering if more people will start moving into it as well. Do you feel like you're seeing people move into it, or you still feel like you're like one in a million out there?
I think there's always going to be that community that's there, and I think it's definitely growing as well,
Yeah.
because the thing about being a Christian is you're asked to spread that faith, right? If you knew something that was like literally amazing, life changing, it was like the best thing that happened to you, why would you not want to share it? You know,
True.
like why would you keep it to
I
yourself?
find a new pizza joint. I tell everybody.
Exactly. You know, like
What it
that's
is.
the whole goal, is to like experience it yourself, see the truth in it, experience the goodness in it, and then spread that. So, and sometimes God will just straight up ask you, like, yo, you need to do this. So you go ahead and you do it, you know?
Right. Right. Have you felt that push to like do things and say
Yeah.
things?
Like the experience that I talked to you earlier, where I felt like had asked a question, you know, prayed to God about something and gotten an answer like literally like the next Sunday. So
Right.
like that's literally happened to me. Like before church, I was like, yo, God, should I be doing this? Because like I felt like I should, but like I was kind of like scared. Like I didn't have that push, you know? But then before church, prayed about it. And then during church, literally like an answer happened, like literally that same day. Like
Wow.
the whole talk was about it,
That's really
like
cool.
that day. So it's like, all right, you know what? He's telling me to do something, so I'm gonna do it.
I was gonna say, have you? So the reason why I reached out to you in the first place was because of what you said about prayer on your Instagram story. First, I want you. Can you repeat that like sentiment? What you were saying, if you remember, it was about like the way people pray and like asking and receiving and all that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the biggest thing about prayer is that it's you speaking to God, who is your father, you know? Like he's your creator, and he knows everything about you, what you think, what you do. He knows that. And through prayer, you're supposed to have a personal relationship with him, right? You're supposed to be talking to him like he's someone that's part of your life, right? The Bible says to love God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your strength, you know? So love him with everything that you have. And part of doing that is literally like if you had someone you loved, best friend, girlfriend, whoever it is, would you literally just speak to them like once in a while when you need something? Like,
No.
it's good to actually have a conversation with them. And that's the part, that's like the thing with prayer is like you want to sit there and speak to him. And the thing about this, it's like it's the most precious experience. Like, I didn't know. And the thing is that, like, I've been religious for like, I've been part of this thing for like a lot of my life. And this is something that's like developed pretty recently. Like, I didn't know it could get like that intense. Like, literally, like, I felt so much love and so much light, I guess, in my heart through this experience. And like, literally, you'll just sit there, and it happens constantly, like every day, whatever, how often it is that you want to do this and talk. You know, spending time with him can be just reading the Bible, how like praying, but like praying that specific way is like, yeah, you do want to pray and ask for stuff like, hey, I need this, God, can you help me with this, help me get this done and that. You should pray like that normally, right? You want to ask for things when you do need it. But there's also the time when you sit there and you say, hey, let's talk, let's have a conversation, this is what's going on, like, this is how I feel, and like, this is not me just asking you something, but this is just me having a conversation with you. And so that's super, super duper important, and you develop that love and that will to love him through
Right.
these conversations that you have with him.
And you feel like he knows you, he really
Exactly.
knows, like, on a day-to-day basis, even good days, it's not just praying for when bad shit's happen, when you need something, but it's like, I had a good day today, like, I'm gonna have this conversation, I'm gonna spread this, like, almost like with yourself, like within yourself, because it's hard for a lot of people, because you're not hearing words back typically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some people have heard words back.
He speaks, but not all the time. He's
Yeah.
afraid, like, Phineas and Ferb?
Yeah.
He's
Ferb. Right? yeah. Was he silenced or silenced? Ferb was pretty quiet. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's kind of what it's like. What it sounds like. Like people could pray for years and feel like it's just kind of going, and it's also good to just get out of your, like, if you have bad energies. I'm big on like just speaking on it, writing stuff down, getting it away from you. If I'm thinking something, if I don't like something that's going on in my life, I'll write it down, I'll write about it. I'll like trash piece of paper. I guess it's just like my own sense of prayer in a way. And that's kind of another thing. That's an interesting point. Do you feel like everyone, so you being someone that is in belief, like you believe everyone's a child of God?
Yes.
So some people don't ever follow. And some people...
So
what's up?
Everyone's a child of God in some ways, as in he's their creator.
Yeah.
But there's something deeper than that in being a child of God, right? You're a child of God when you're converted and when you become his child and when you accept to be his child, right? Like, he wants you to be his child, but not everyone starts off that way, Yeah.
Do you think that's everyone's like destiny, you feel like, in a lot of ways?
Yes. He wants to have a relationship with you. He wants you to be with him and he wants to know you. But not everyone's going to want that. And he gives you that free will. Like, God doesn't say, I'm going to force you to do this and make you do this. He says, I made you. I gave you this free will in life. You get to choose what you want to do, but I want you to love me. And if you want to get certain better things, if you want to get to heaven, do this and that, then you can only get that stuff through loving me.
Wow. Yeah, what were you just going to say when I interrupted you? I think you reached out to...
I was just going to ask for some clarification. You're good.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. So now I clarified. Hey, like that's just the connection. See, that's my belief in a lot of ways. Let me try to explain this to you. I just believe in, and I guess a lot of it's just analogs for other like types of religions, believe very similar things. But it's just that we as like a human race, we as like a culture, we as people are like, we are the energy. Like, we are God in a way.
Connected.
Yeah, we're connected. We're all very connected. Like, I can sense, there's a reason where you can sense what someone's feeling.
Yeah.
And
like that universal consciousness kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly, it's a good way to put it. That universal consciousness. I don't feel it, and I don't think it's too specific. I don't think it's too obvious either. But I do think that, like, I believe in some forms of karma. Maybe not in the way that it is put in like old scripture of like I don't even know what religion that would be.
Like Buddhism,
Buddhism.
I think. Yeah, something like that.
But I believe just when I how can I put this? Sorry. I'm trying to think. When I like say I've like pickpocketed some gum from CVS.
Mm-hmm.
Say I did that. Let's say I pickpocketed some gum. If something later happens to me, like 2 weeks later, and it's negative, I have something to point at where I'm like, oh, I deserve that. Yeah. I think people should feel like they deserve good things to happen. And when bad things happen, it should be so happens, coincidence, just random. But good things I deserve. And that's where I feel karma comes from. That's what karma is to me. Like, if something bad happens, I don't want to feel like I caused it. You know? I want to feel like it's random.
If that were to be karma in some sense and something bad happens, I think the best reaction possibly in my opinion would be to like try to learn from that, right? Maybe not just say, okay, whatever it is, it's like it just happened, but maybe try to learn from that. But that's what I would do. Yeah.
I think because it's a really good point, because I think I think those ideas coexist, because in a lot of ways, like when something bad does happen, I usually can draw it back to me, you know, in some sense, most of the time. Mm-hmm. Some things really just do be random, you know, some good things too, just random. But about 95% of the time, if something bad happened, even if it's like, what else was I supposed to do? It was probably because of me. If it's something bad happens to myself, there is an answer you can give, and I think that gives you more free will, makes you feel more like in control of your life and who you are. But what is the where in Christianity does that kind of get?
Like the whole karma situation.
Karma, like your ability, like how much credit and you should give God versus yourself. Something like that. That's interesting.
So scripture's not too obvious with that. It basically just says, do to others as you would like to do like unto yourself. So like treat everyone just like yourself.
Facts. That's facts.
But on top of that as well, God makes the sun shine on the good people and the bad people, right? He's not. Right. I think what people get out of life is based on what work they put into it, right? Like he's not gonna. Like, yes, if you do something bad to someone and something bad may happen to you through it, but it's not that God punishes you specifically because of that, I don't think. If someone's going around, like, killing people or something like that, they'll eventually, like, get caught by police or something like that. But I don't think God works with karma in that way, you know? Like, that's not how he affects you. I think he works in karma through the way of blessings, right? If you're good and if you see good things, he will bless you, right? He gives you gifts.
Positive reinforcement.
Reinforcement, yes.
That's really cool. I think another thing on that karmic idea, because I feel like we're like a universal conscious, like we are one, I feel like it's almost like as a race. Like if I do more good stuff, the energy's up. Like our good energy is up. Everyone is happier. If you leave here happy, maybe you do something you wouldn't have done otherwise. Like go out of your way to be nice to somebody, paying it forward type of idea.
Yeah.
Because if someone else is happy, that's good for all of us. If someone's happy, whereas if someone's upset, that's bad for all of us. So you're transferring bad energy out into our people. Like if you murder somebody, that serial killer you used as your example. He kills 3 people. That's like killing himself. That's us hurting ourselves. That's us as a people going negative. But also with every negative thing, a lot of times like good things come from it. Back to what we said in the very beginning when you're talking about your like switch in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
With your work, like you leave school, things happen, personal things happen, and then you find like something that really interests you. And that's a good thing that may not have happened otherwise, at least not in the way that it has, you know? So negatives can lead to positive things too. And I think that's another big piece. That's a lot of where your faith can come in. Because if you're in a really shitty situation, that's like all you got is faith. And I think that's where those people find like, not their reason to live, but their reason to keep pushing and keep being like strong, you know. Okay, now aside from the faith, I know we've talked about that for a long time, but I really had a lot of good questions. I appreciate you answering them very honestly.
Of course.
So how long were you in Haiti?
Yeah, up until I was 10 years old, like literally
10 years
like
old. That's a
yeah.
long time.
I lived
Damn.
there for most like for a good bit. I can't say that I remember too much of it though.
Really?
I think being that young and just not being out a lot, so I don't really remember very much from that experience of being in Haiti.
Do you remember coming here much?
I do.
And like the difference, I guess, like the feeling of being in a different environment.
Yeah, I mean, if one thing that happened the first time is that like literally so I moved over here like a day before my birthday. So I
happy
think,
birthday, dude.
yeah. So like I moved over and like the next day was my birthday, so I had access to cake. Like this is the funny story, but like literally I ate so much cake that since then I've just like never looked at cake the same way. Like
seriously,
since then, like yeah,
to this day,
like,
you don't eat cake.
I'm
about to
eat
get some
it,
cake after
but
this.
like
Fuck,
it's not the same way. Like literally, like
it's not
just,
the same.
I killed myself, bro. I just ate like so much, like half the cake, bro, all by myself.
Hey, was
So,
it a big celebration though? Like were you really pumped
yeah,
about it
yeah,
at the
like
time? Was it
like
because you were here too, and like was
Uh-huh.
it like a kind of like a dual celebration in a way?
Yeah, I think so. It was also my dad's birthday as well. So
Wait, your dad's birthday and your birthday?
no. His birthday's
sorry.
on the 14th of June and mine's on the 20th. Oh no, I didn't.
No, I didn't mean to like. I was just fucking. I do this thing when like I'm filling in what other people say, and I fucking hate it about myself. I really
good.
do. I hate it. So when I do that, I try to stop because I'm always like, "Oh, you mean it?" Instead of just letting them speak, which would be
It's all good, bro.
especially for a podcast. You'd think I'd let you speak. But yeah, it was your dad's birthday 6 days prior,
6 days prior, yeah.
and then your arrival day,
Yeah.
and then
So
your birthday.
he just celebrated when I got there.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck! Yo, you should go crazy that week. Every time, every time you're, well, what week is that? The week of the 14th through the 21st, second week, third week of January.
June.
Sorry.
Yeah.
June, third week of June, you should just like go away every year.
Yeah, just like
if and when you have the money,
Yeah.
to do that. That'd be sick. Like from the 14th to the 21st, you're celebrating all the things that are so good.
And
in
my
your life.
sister's birthday is on the 17th, so it's just like
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Seriously? What? Yo, that's like a. See, that's God right there.
Yeah.
For real. That's like that's the type of shit that makes me
I mean,
want to pack up my shit.
Yeah,
and
you could
become
say
religious.
that, but like I don't know. I feel like that's kind of taking like the God thing a little bit up there, but
For sure. And I don't mean it like, but that's the thing. That's why I don't mean it like literally, I guess. I just feel like some things are out there just to prove stuff. Like
exactly. Yeah.
And that's just one of those things like, oh, all three of us are born the same week. It's like, that's just awesome energy for that whole week. That week should be the best week of your year every year.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much positive and everyone's feeling it.
True.
And obviously, you know, the older you get, your birthday becomes a little less exciting. You know, like when I'm 58, turning 59, I'm going to be a little pissed.
It's like, dang, man.
Damn. I'm fucking 59,
Another one of these.
Holy shit, you know? How old are you right now? You 21?
22.
22.
Mm-hmm.
So you turn 23. Yeah, because I'm 21, turning 22 in April. And they're still exciting for now. Birthdays are still semi-exciting. What age do you feel like you're going to be like, oh, man, like, I'm really turning this age?
Honestly, I've never been like too big of a birthday guy. Like,
I don't like my birthday.
I feel like some people, like, they're like so... I don't know, my cousin, for example, like, she's like, when it's her birthday, like, everything's got to be perfect. Like, literally, like, you know, she does, like, a lot about it. I'm perfectly content, like, going out and eating with my friends, you know, like,
Totally.
I'm perfectly content just, like, you know, just seeing a few people that I don't see normally, like, celebrating with them. And if that doesn't happen, if it's just, like, another chill day, I'm fine. Like,
That's how I feel about my birthday. I want my birthday to be a reflection of my year in a way, you know, like, because that's my year. That's a year for me, you know, like, everyone celebrates New Year's Eve like crazy. That's my year, like, that I've been here. So I usually will end up celebrating pretty chill. Maybe go out to eat with some friends, kind of like you. But something that not bugs me, it sounds stupid to say it bugs me, but when someone reaches out to me on my birthday, and I hadn't, in the last text before that was my last birthday, or me telling them their birthday, I'm like, this is not a relationship. That's not what this is. Like, we need to work. We need to work on this. Whoever that is, whoever that may be, or don't text me, or I shouldn't text you either, because that's not what that is. It's not what my birthday is.
Something's missing there. Yeah.
But the thing is, if they were to send that to me like 2 months earlier, like, have you ever gotten a text from somebody? I don't know how much this happens to people, but I send people these texts all the time, where I'm just like, hey, I was thinking about something, made me think of you, like, just wanted to let you know, like, you're in my thoughts, whatever, like, just positive vibes, not on your birthday, no holiday, just sent it to you. You ever gotten one of those?
Not too often, I want to say.
It's rare,
but
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely rare. I think it's a positive thing to do, just like to let somebody else know, like, hey, I see that you're like an important part of my life, and I want you to like know that, just because you're in my head, like you're in my thoughts, you know, you're taking up space in my mind.
Totally.
You know, you're someone that like I actually appreciate, you know, just letting them know like that. I think that's a good thing, positive.
Yeah, and I've received maybe like 1 or 2 texts like that in my life, where someone just hits me up out of the blue and just tells me that, basically, like, how important I am in their life. And it's such a fucking, that feeling is so much better than every birthday text I've ever gotten in my entire life times 10, because it's just like, I'm really on their mind, you know. It's like, one thing when I'm supposed to be on your mind, but I'm really on your mind. And we, like, especially if it's someone that I like maybe I've grown distant to over time, you know, sometimes, you know, you're just fucking, you're busy. You're busy, and life's busy, and you have things you need to do and projects that you're handling. You have friends that maybe you haven't talked to as much. Like, I know you played football, some of your teammates maybe. I know my teammates from basketball, even when I was younger too, like young ones. Maybe every once in a while I should just reach out and just be like, hey, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing good. Thought about you the other day. Sending some love.
And those are some like deep relationships, like playing a sport with someone for like 4 years of high school or however long it is, like spending like days together, like practicing, doing that. You grow like in that relationship, and it's like you learn to be part of their life, and eventually like you'll want to, like, when you're looking back at those memories, you'll be like, yo, this is dude, you know, like how's he doing, like.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm about to hit up Tevin after this. So.
I was literally just thinking about Tevin. I'm not even kidding. Like, I was thinking
That's the guy.
Yeah,
he's both
Tevin,
our guy.
bro.
He was
Seriously.
on both our teams. That's our guy.
Yeah.
I want to have him on the podcast soon, actually. I've been meaning to have him on for a long time. He'll be, you know, he's ridiculous. You know, he's lost a lot of weight.
I know. I've seen him. Like, Tevin,
You have?
yeah, he's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks good, man. I saw him, played some hoop with him, actually.
You saw him where?
I was playing basketball. Playing some hoop. And I saw him, it was over the winter break, and he walks in, and he's like half. Like, he looks cut in half down the middle. And not that I ever thought his weight, because he was always so big and tall. I think there's 2 different types of, like, being heavy in my mind. Like, if someone's like heavy and they're like, they don't look like they're taking care of themselves, like, it has nothing to do with their weight. It has everything to do with, like, I guess, how they're presenting themselves. Because if I've seen, like, really, like, heavy dudes or heavy girls, whatever, that are just, like, that still, you know, they do themselves. They look nice. Like, they put together. I know that they're, like, Tevin does work out. He played football, played basketball. These people do these things. You're just a little heavier. That's just a body shape. I always felt like he was one of those people. I was never like, oh, he's fat. Like,
Tevin's like, I don't know, I guess big boned, you could say it. Like,
yeah, he's just big. Like, think about, imagine growing up that big.
Bro, Tevin's gigantic. Yeah,
he's been that big since we were 10. Like, straight up. Like, I had him. He was in my elementary school with me. He was always gigantic, just the biggest kid I knew. I gotta get him on here. I'll have to have the camera like this, but I gotta get him on here. I don't know why I just did all that. Oh, it worked out. But yeah, okay, wait. How long do you think we've been going for, if you were to guess?
45 minutes?
We're at an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10 minutes,
Hour and 10 minutes. So
time flies, yeah.
It really does, dude. Which is, I think, a great thing if I can get the person to say under, because usually that means that I did a good job, or at least that they didn't hate it. Because this can be a lot for people. This is strange. You know,
it is different,
especially since we didn't know each other too well coming in. I knew enough about you just because I feel like I know a lot of people that know you for some reason, and you're one to come up in a story for some reason. I don't know why. It's like, yeah, I was with Wade, and then this and this and this happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so dead serious. Like, your name just comes up randomly. Probably because of Tevin. And then, but yeah, so what would you say your experience was like on the DOD-Cast?
This has been great, honestly. I think you've got something good going on. Definitely seem like you've prepared for it. Like, you have all the tools. You know what you're doing. Like, you're like, it seems like you have the education for it. Like, you're asking correct questions, keeping it going. Like, I didn't feel like at any moment that like I was missing anything. Like, you were definitely very kind about it as well. So I think it was a really good experience.
Appreciate that. Speaking of people that say things very well, you, my friend, you should get into some type of radio or some type of something, because I feel like the way you put your words is the way I want to put my words. Like, I think a lot of times it's just word vomit comes out, and people are smart enough to pick out what I mean to say, and it makes it sound like maybe I'm saying something smart or in the right way. But you will take a really broad question that I've thrown at you. I do a couple at you today, some pretty big ones, and you've condensed them really well, and you answer them very concise, and then explained yourself after. I thought you were a very good speaker, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would your app be called, actually, before we go? What would your app be called if you were to make that faith religion app? Are you actually working on that? I think that's something that's
I'm like starting, like, I'm in the really early phases, like just putting things together. It's like mostly an idea right now. So I don't even have like a name down. Because when it comes to naming things, like, you know, you're gonna want a website, so then like that name's gonna have to be unique. You don't want like anything that's like too common, because then, like, you know, you're gonna have to, like, they're gonna charge you a lot for that website name. So you gotta figure it out. I don't have anything at the moment that I've thought about. You know, I've got like color scheme. I've thought about like a few features I've written down.
Yeah,
but
your notes app's chalked. Right?
Exactly, bro. It's like out here.
It's out here. I really hope that anybody, I know you being a man of faith, if you have any questions, you can go to Wade, because you're very friendly, so friendly, so easy to ask questions to. You were so willing to come on and do this, not knowing me that well. But yeah, if people have questions, everyone that is religious, if you know somebody that is, you're wondering, ask your friend. They will talk to you about it. They love, it's your job as a human. Your job is to spread the faith to people that are searching for something.
Exactly.
So if you have any questions, any further questions, if I did a bad job and you got more, come ask Wade. Find him on Instagram, whatever. I'll tag him on whatever this is. Yep, Wade. I really appreciate your time on here.
I had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And bye-bye, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.